The warm glow of the restaurant lights spilled onto the busy sidewalk as customers enjoyed their meals inside. The rich aroma of freshly baked bread and sizzling steaks filled the air. Waiters moved swiftly between tables, serving plates of gourmet food. At the entrance, unnoticed by most, a frail boy in tattered clothes pressed his hands against the glass, his wide eyes scanning the plates of food being served. His stomach growled, but he remained silent, too afraid to step inside. A group of wealthy diners at the nearest table laughed and talked loudly, unaware of the starving child watching them. Then, the boy took a hesitant step forward, pushing open the heavy door. The warmth inside wrapped around him, but so did the stares. A waiter immediately noticed him and frowned. "Hey, kid, you can't be in here." The boy's voice trembled. "Please. I just want something to eat." The waiter scoffed. "This isn't a charity. If you don't have money, you need to leave." A few guests turned their heads, whispering. The boy looked down, his small hands shaking. But before he could turn back, a deep voice cut through the air. "Hold on." The restaurant fell silent as Keanu Reeves, sitting at a corner table, placed his napkin down and stood up. Keanu walked toward the boy, his kind eyes locking onto him. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The boy hesitated before whispering, "David." Keanu knelt slightly to meet his gaze. "David, when was the last time you ate?" The boy bit his lip. "Yesterday, but only a little." A hush fell over the restaurant. The wealthy diners who had ignored him suddenly seemed uncomfortable. The waiter, still standing by, crossed his arms. "Sir, if you're thinking about giving him food, we have policies." Keanu didn't even glance at him. Instead, he gestured toward an empty seat at his table. "David, would you like to have dinner with me?" The boy's eyes widened. "Really?" "Of course," Keanu nodded. "Everyone deserves a meal." Before David could respond, the waiter stepped in, voice firm. "Sir, we have a dress code, and we don't serve." Keanu raised a hand, silencing him. His calm yet authoritative tone filled the room. "Are you telling me that this restaurant refuses to serve hungry children?" The waiter hesitated. Other customers watched, waiting for his response. A manager hurried over, sensing the tension. He forced a smile. "Mr. Reeves, please. This isn't personal, it is personal," Keanu interrupted. "And I'd like to see how this place treats people who need kindness the most." The manager swallowed hard, realizing the weight of the situation. With all eyes on him, he forced a stiff nod. "Of course, sir. He can stay." Keanu turned to David and smiled. "See? No problem at all." The boy hesitated, as if still not believing it. Keanu gently led him to the chair and waved over a different waiter. "Bring us the best meal you have." The restaurant staff, now scrambling to save face, rushed to take the order. As David sat, his small hands rested nervously on the table. "I've never eaten in a place like this," he whispered. Keanu chuckled. "Well, there's a first time for everything." The wealthy diners who had ignored the boy now sat in uncomfortable silence, avoiding eye contact. Keanu, unfazed, continued talking to David like an old friend. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" he asked. The boy hesitated, then mumbled, "A chef." Keanu grinned. "A chef, huh? That's a great dream." The food arrived, a steaming plate of roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and warm bread. David stared at it, eyes wide, then looked up. "Can I really eat this?" "It's all yours," Keanu said. David took his first bite, chewing slowly as if savoring every flavor. His eyes glistened with emotion. The entire restaurant watched, silent. Keanu poured him a glass of water and said, "You deserve this, David." And you deserve a future where you never have to beg for food. The boy swallowed hard, then whispered, "Thank you." Keanu leaned forward. "Do you have a home?" David looked down. "Sometimes I stay in the shelter, but it's full a lot." A pang of sadness flickered across Keanu's face. Without hesitation, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a check. He quickly scribbled something and handed it to the manager. "This should cover a month of meals for any kid who comes here hungry. No questions asked." The manager's eyes widened. "Yes, sir, this is, just do it," Keanu said firmly. The restaurant gasped. David stared at him, tears forming in his eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Keanu smiled warmly. "Because someone once helped me. And now, I help others." The restaurant, once filled with judgmental whispers, now buzzed with admiration. A few customers, inspired by what they witnessed, started pulling out their wallets, leaving tips for the restaurant staff and asking how they could help. The same people who had ignored David minutes ago now looked at him with compassion. As David finished his meal, Keanu patted his shoulder. "You're not alone, kid. Keep dreaming big." The boy wiped his eyes, nodding. As Keanu stood to leave, the entire restaurant, staff and guests alike, watched him in awe. The same waiter who had tried to kick David out looked down, ashamed. The wealthy diners, once so dismissive, now sat in humbled silence. Keanu walked toward the door, but before stepping out, he glanced back at David one last time. "One day, when you're a chef, I'll be the first to eat at your restaurant," he said with a wink. David's lips curled into a smile. "I promise." And just like that, Keanu stepped out into the night, leaving behind not just a full stomach for a hungry child, but a lesson no one in that restaurant would ever forget. ####. Subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. This version is fully extended, with equal-length sections and a powerful emotional impact. Let me know if you need any tweaks. Rocket.